Mario Rinaldi, EMC's primary storage group, supporting what I like to call the best area in the United States for EMC, the John Griffin area, supporting two great districts in Tom O'Toole and Nick DeFino. What I'm here to talk to you a little bit about today is probably the most exciting time within EMC's history. It is the year of all flash. And what I'm going to go over is kind of the economics behind why this is the year of all flash, and essentially why customers can take advantage of EMC's portfolio in order to take their business to the next level. So really what I'd like to do is kind of take a quick step back. There's kind of four key elements that every customer is bringing to the table every time I have conversations with them. First and foremost has to do with time to market. At the end of the day, organizations are tasked with the ability to beat their competition with releasing new products, innovative products, in order to drive customer excitement and, of course, drive their business and enable their business as well. But all that really has to do with the ability to be agile or have agility within that business. The best example I can give you is you rewind probably 10, 15 years ago. Every time you got a video or you wanted to watch a movie at home, what you would do is you'd get in the car, drive down the street, you'd go to Blockbuster, right? What happened was Netflix came in, disrupted that complete industry, right, and put Blockbuster out of business. Now how we distribute and address our content or even watch movies at home is through Netflix. Blockbuster is no longer. The reason why is they weren't agile enough to meet the demands of the market. Their customer base essentially went to their competitor, being Netflix. Essentially every business is trying to avoid that and have the fastest time to market. Now, from a data center perspective, how is that important to them? Really what they need to do is they need to have the applications have the utmost performance, delivering application and end user compute at the fastest possible rate. And really what that has to do with it is that performance of those applications as a whole. You need to make sure that those applications are performing, and really what you'll see is the theme here. You want to spend less time on the infrastructure itself, more time on developing those applications so you can get that fast time to market and that agility. And all the while, of course, nothing's going away. You need to reduce that cost. You need to make sure you're allocating money towards innovation and optimizing your business, and less towards spending time just keeping the lights on. Essentially what we're looking at is 70% of the time organizations are tasked with keeping the lights on, only 30% is tasked with the ability to innovate and invest in things that actually fundamentally drive the business. We need to flip that on its head. So before I get into EMC's portfolio, what's really crazy is the reason why this is the year of all flash is really the economics behind it. Wikibon recently did a survey kind of analyzing hard drive revenue versus flash revenue over the next 10 years. And really what they found was something pretty alarming, right? So from a hard drive perspective, right now, that business is at $55 billion. Commanding business, right? You're looking at $55 billion, but which is crazy is by the year 2026, that's gonna drive down to $5 billion. Pretty astronomical numbers when you're looking at a $50 billion swing. First question is, where's that money going? The answer is flash technology. Organizations are going to be investing in flash technology. That business is about a $5 billion business today. It's going to flourish to about $55 billion by 2026. Okay, that's the statistic, right? But the question is, why is that happening? And really what it has to do with is the economics of flash. The ability of things like 3D NAND for organizations to comprise as much capacity as they possibly can and still drive up that performance. So what we're seeing is the ability to have 15 terabyte flash drives consumed in a single storage system, which is pretty astronomical when you rewind 10 years ago. 500 gigabyte flash drive was the biggest one that you could possibly get. So really what we're talking about is the ability to drive that capacity and performance at the same time, and of course drive that cost down so organizations can consume that technology in order to provide that performance back to their business. So now what I'd like to get into is kind of the portfolio of EMC as a whole. But the biggest differentiator behind EMC's entire portfolio is we ask our customers about their applications first before we provide them the answer to the infrastructure. And that's a fundamental key difference, because what we're doing is we're understanding your business and what drives the business and the functionality to give you that fast time to market, and then we're providing you the answer around our portfolio, right? So that's why we have a well-rounded portfolio from a flash technology perspective. And really what that comprises of the three key areas. So we have the mid-tier, the high-end, last but certainly not least, rack scale. So within these three specific areas, you have different use cases, but what you'll notice is we have overlaps in our portfolio, but never any gaps. So the first and foremost is our Unity platform. Really exciting time within EMC for our mid-tier customers, and even remote office, branch office, or smaller enterprises in different divisions to leverage. Now really what this has to do is the ability to drive unified capabilities. It's the ability to store file and block storage on an all-flash system, right? And we also made it a lot easier for our customers to interact with the system as well, giving you HTML5 capabilities. So no longer do you have to wait for Java updates, etc. It's all in HTML5, all web-based. You can access this interface at any time, anywhere. Really making it easier for the functionality and interaction with the system itself. Not to mention, what I like to call is we're putting our money, EMC's money, where your data is. So we have the ability to leverage our Pivotal Labs analytics system to essentially take your information and data and understand where performance and capacity metrics need to come into play, do it proactively and report back to you. So giving you that cloud enablement in EMC's cloud and big data and allow you to quiesce all that information and give you actual results back to the business. And then of course, last but certainly not least, affordability. You know, these systems are essentially going out the door around $20,000 per system, really to allow customers to get that performance and capacity and also drive down that cost. So the next tier I'd like to get to is the high-end tier. The first and foremost is XtremIO. Now, you've probably heard of it because it is far and away the market leader. It's about 3x the next nearest competitor when it comes to market share, but the real question is how has that come to be? So, to make a quick translation, VMware, pretty profound technology in the industry, took them 5 years to reach $1 billion in sales. XtremIO only took them 588 days in order to reach that same $1 billion mark. Fascinating technology. What's crazy is we're giving you always-on data services. So why is that important? Because we want to make sure you have predictable and consistent performance and capacity back to the business. These data services are always on. They're never going to shut off. This is tried, true, and tested. We have numerous third-party analysts touting XtremIO as being the far and away leader from an all-flash perspective. Next, what we have is the ability to scale up. Now, why that's important for our businesses is because essentially the way XtremIO is comprised is what we call XBrick. So within every XBrick, you essentially have engines of compute, capacity, and performance within each brick. And essentially, as you scale out or you add capacity and performance, you're doing just that. You're adding capacity and performance and horsepower to essentially drive the highest performance within that all-flash array. One of the reasons why this system is such a commanding market leader within the industry today. And then last but certainly not least, something called Extreme Data Protection and Integrated Copy Data Management. Now, what this has to do with is the numerous copies within enterprise data centers and data centers in general. About 60% of all data is actually copies. So what does that have to do with your environment? Is a lot of times there's a lot of consumption of capacity and performance based upon usage of those copies. So with XtremIO, essentially all those copies are handled in memory, allowing you to drive, again, that capacity and performance, but not reducing how much capacity is being utilized for the things that drive the business and give you that performance and agility and time to market. Integrated copy data management, essentially, because all that information is handled in memory, it reduces how much capacity is consumed on those flash drives, giving you the ability to have the utmost performance on those flash drives themselves. So the next topic I'd like to get into is vMax All Flash. Enterprise businesses have been leveraging vMax for quite some time now. And essentially the reason why is because it's so resilient to handle those tier 1, tier 0 applications. So we're offering you 6 nines of availability, really give you that resiliency to know that your data is always going to be there and available, which gets me to my next point, which is SRDF. Really allowing you to get that replication feature to make sure that your data is always on and up and running. So you're giving that resiliency and uptime at any time, at any point. And really the biggest correlation that I can make there is, you know, I tried lightly saying this, but in 9/11, EMC was essentially the hero within 9/11 from a data center perspective, because number one, the first thing everybody wanted to do is make sure that everybody was safe, of course, but the second thing had to do with making sure that customers' data can actually be replicated across the river to their secondary sites. EMC was there to help maintain that data availability. The next thing has to do with custom SLAs. Back to that application first metric that I mentioned before to lead off this presentation, EMC, we're solely focused around your applications. So your service level agreements is the utmost importance. We want to make sure that this solution is custom tailored back to those applications, again, to give you that uptime. And then of course, what we've noticed is a lot of customers are still on mainframe and iSeries operating systems. So we want to be able to support that, again, on industry leading platforms. So really, rounding out that robust feature set from an all-flash perspective in these two areas. And then what's crazy is we're in a land of our own from a rack-scaled flash perspective. The name of the technology is actually DSSD. We're starting to see a lot of customers see a lot of benefit. And the reason why is the performance is there for sure. I mean, you get 10 million I/O and a 5U appliance, which is awesome, obviously performance. But at the end of the day, what customers are using it for are real-time analytics and big data. So those two key features are very important. Obviously, the businesses, organizations, CIOs and CTOs are putting a big focus on this. How do we get all this information and actually make it a revenue-generating machine? How do we get that fastest time to market, get the information from our customers, spit it back out, and actually make it usable for our business? So that's kind of the four key areas that we're seeing from an all-flash perspective. But also what we're doing is we're taking it a step further. So what EMC has developed is the Expect More program. Which, a couple things, it's allowing organizations to consume the technology, getting all the software feature functionality all in one, all up front, versus some of the struggles that customers have had before where essentially we charge a la carte features and functionality. No more, moving forward, essentially we're allowing you to get all those features functionality right up front. Not to mention the Flash Endurance program ensures organizations to know that no matter what happens, as long as you're under an EMC support contract, you're going to have the ability to always have those flash drives replaced at any moment in time. A lot of customers say, hey, I had a flash drive delivered on my front door before I even knew there was an issue. Same thing goes here. The other thing that's really awesome, and a lot of customers have had a lot of positive feedback, is a 3-year money-back guarantee. Now, some of our competitors are essentially offering 30-day money-back guarantee when, in all honesty, it's hard enough to get an array stood up, let alone get it stood up in 30 days, excuse me. We're offering that 36-month or 3-year money-back guarantee for that solution, really putting our money where our mouth is. And last but certainly not least, what's really helping a lot of our customers is an 11% maintenance lock-in. So what that allows our organizations to do is have predictable maintenance costs, and really what we're trying to do is drive out the cost within the maintenance for supporting your technology, and allow you to have predictable spend, but give that longevity for your storage array. Instead of for 3 years keep it, we want you to keep it for 6 to 8 years, essentially to focus more on driving outcomes for the business and less on focusing on the infrastructure itself, upgrades, etc. And then in culmination, the 3 key areas that I find most profound for our customers, of course, are the outcomes, right? From an agility perspective, from the technologies I've described, we're seeing a 91% reduction in provisioning times. Because flash technology is so advanced, no more time, provisioning, storage, allowing the flash to essentially do the capacity and performance and give that application performance and consistency as well. The next thing has to do with performance itself. Because flash is essentially much faster, of course, than spinning disk, what you're seeing is about 10 to 20x application performance. Again, driving up those applications to make sure that there is no end user degradation, and of course making sure that the business has the highest performance. And last but certainly not least is cost. So the 2 things I like to talk about is the 71% reduction in power, cooling, and maintaining, and then of course 83% reduction in floor space. So those percentages are great, right? But really what I'd like to take is a real customer example. So a customer in Massachusetts, essentially what we did, a retail customer, is we did an analysis, we moved off legacy architecture to Extreme I/O. What that did was we drove down their floor space from 15 tiles down to just 4 tiles, so order of magnitude less, but also from a power cooling and maintaining perspective on that legacy architecture, they were essentially spending $168,000 per year just to power cool and maintain that legacy storage. And what we were able to do is reduce that by switching them over to Extreme IO to $15,000 per year for power cooling and maintenance. So pretty significant reduction in cost, and essentially allowing you to put more dollars and cents towards innovating the business, less towards infrastructure. That's all I have to say today. Really appreciate your time. Would love to do a flash assessment with you and your team, get to know your business and of course those applications a little bit better, see how we can drive business outcomes. We'd really like to set something up next week for you. Thank you very much.